Hi guys, welcome to Serious English. My name is Antonia Robacher and today we're going to talk about speaking skills. A lot of my subscribers have been asking me to create such a video, and so we are here. Today I'm going to give you 6 tips on how to improve your speaking skills. And let's get into it. The first tip is going to be a little bit unexpected. I'm sure of that. Do not rush into it. Well, if you are at the very beginning of the process, of studying a foreign language, English, Russian, German, it doesn't matter which one, do not rush into speaking because you are not familiar with some basic structures yet. Grammatical structures, and you do not know much vocabulary and so on. So creating some short dialogues, answering some questions is fine, but do not force yourself to create long, informative sentences because you are not ready yet. You do not know much and you do not know how the language works yet. That's why if you are in liberty to take things slow, then do not rush into it. Just take it slow. Of course, it depends on the purpose of studying a foreign language. If you need to speak on the spot right away as soon as possible, then of course you just have to do it. But as I have already pointed out, if you are in liberty to take things slow, then do. Take it slow. Do not rush into it. Take it slow. As for me personally, I had been studying English for 2 years, and only after that I had an opportunity to practice it, to speak English. And I was surprised, I was shocked, because I had no problems whatsoever. It felt so natural and so easy. Well, as long as I knew all the basic structures, all the basic grammar, and I knew how sentences are created, I had no problems whatsoever. Of course, I'm not saying that you should wait for 2 years. No, of course not. But do not rush into it, okay? Secondly, relax and do not be afraid of making mistakes. Even native speakers make mistakes. It's fine. If you are afraid that somebody might consider you dull or stupid, you might keep silent forever. Do not worry. Foreigners understand that you are not a native speaker and you need time and you might make a couple of mistakes, especially at the beginning of the process. You might make quite many mistakes, but then when you keep practicing and you keep studying grammar, vocabulary, it will get better. You will improve your speech. Don't worry. Just try to relax. As long as you are able to communicate with other people, if you are able to speak to other people and you fulfill the main function, the main purpose of communicating, that is to be understood and to understand other people, then it all adds up, it all works. Don't worry. Thirdly, use your body language. Let's remember about animals. They communicate somehow, they don't speak foreign languages. Secondly, earlier people used to communicate mostly with their facial expressions and emotions and gestures and so on. So try to use your body as well. It helps a lot to be understood. I am going to give you an interesting example. 5 years ago or so, when I worked at a company as an interpreter, there was a foreign technician who arrived at the firm and he explained different things to the workers, one of whom was completely unable to speak English. He didn't speak any English. However, he tried very hard to communicate with this foreigner. He used gestures. He drew pictures, painting. He painted, he jumped and smiled and laughed and used his hands and arms and legs and his body a lot. And the most surprising thing was that the foreigner understood him quite often. And it was so fascinating to observe these two communicating, because sometimes I even couldn't fit in. I mean, I couldn't squeeze a single word in. I was an interpreter, I was supposed to help, but sometimes I didn't have to. So use your body language, your emotions, facial expressions, gestures. It will help. Fourthly, write a diary, write messages, write Facebook entries, use Hello Talk application, Interpal's website, and so on. So try to write in English as much as possible, because writing is some kind of an imitation. So writing imitates speaking to some extent, because you are supposed to formulate your ideas, to write sentences, create sentences yourself. And in this case, you are practically speaking, but slowly. When you write, you have time to think everything through, to write the sentence correctly. You can take your time. And it is good at first. When you are not ready to speak yet, you might write. So try using different applications and web resources to write in English as much as possible. Writing a diary is also a good idea when you just tell about your life in English. Don't be lazy. Start writing now. And then, little by little, you'll feel ready to speak. And it will be much easier for you to start speaking. You'll be prepared. 5. Use your own language devices. What does it mean? Use the grammar you know, use the words you know. If you find yourself in a situation that you want to tell a story and you do not know this particular word, parachute or investigation and so on, try to paraphrase, try to explain this word using some simpler words. It might help. You will be still able to make yourself understood, and that is the most essential thing here. That is the purpose of communication. Let's say you can't remember the word a mushroom, or you do not know it at all. You might try to explain it in a very simple, dull way. When you say, so when you go to the forest, you pick up berries and you might also pick up something else in the forest. This thing with a cap. You can fry them, you can boil them, you can make a soup out of them, and so on. So try to explain the word using different ways. Paraphrase. Use your own language devices. Even if you do not know many words and many constructions, you can still communicate if you know the basic rules, the basic vocabulary. And 6, ask your interlocutor to speak slower, louder, simpler, in a simpler way, and so on. Do not hesitate to ask the person you are speaking with to slow down, to speak up, and so on. Usually people, foreigners, are open to communication. They are open to compromises. So ask the person you are speaking with not to overcomplicate his speech, to use simpler constructions and so on. Usually people already understand that they are dealing not with a native speaker and they are trying to speak slower or simpler. But you might even ask these people to stop and explain it in another way. Can you paraphrase it? Can you explain it in another way? That is, do not only make yourself understood, but make sure to understand the person you are speaking with, because otherwise the communication will break. Okay, those were 6 tips I wanted to share with you today. I hope that they will help you improve your speaking skills. Do not be afraid of speaking. Start communicating with people. Meet new people. It is a lot of fun and extremely enjoyable. So I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please press the button, like it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to continue studying English with me, and I hope to see you soon. Happy English and Russian practice. Bye-bye. If you have any questions about other techniques, other tips, other pieces of advice of how to speak, to listen, to write, and so on, feel free to write to me and I might create another class. See you. Bye.